So today, we're going to be talking about Illuvium, where you fight for ETH. Gotta love that. Okay, it's a free-to-play, play-to-earn game. I actually got a little trailer here for you. Hopefully, I don't get my video taken down. Illuvium, don't take this down. Okay, free-to-play, play-to-earn, exploration looter, where you go around the environment, try and find resources, use those resources to make your character stronger, your team stronger. And it's a collectible auto battler. You got kind of your squad, almost like Axie Infinity. You got your squad, and they're going against another squad, and you're trying to beat them and win resources, and win tokens, right? Got to dig it. But, big problem. They've had two significant exploits so far this year that have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. And so the question is it still worth it? Is it still worth it? And hopefully we do a good job today of answering that question for you. On the flip side of that, though, they did go ahead and they lured a bit of talent from a little platform called Twitch and another little platform called Riot Games, aka League of Legends, to go ahead and head up their marketing department. So you kind of got a mixed bag. Okay, super cool game, sounds fun, bad exploits. But you hired some cool people who are definitely OGs in the space. What's going to happen? Real quick, if it's your first time here, my name is Ryan, No Autopilot YouTube channel. Pretty much what I do, deep dives into crypto. You like alpha, top tier alpha, I'm your guy. Now, how we got to get on these topics, I go ahead and put out a poll every single day asking the community, hey, what do you guys want me to cover? And whatever gets the most votes, I cover. And in fact, sometimes off these little live streams I'm doing, we cover those projects too. There you have it. Illuvium. What's their goal? What are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to build a decentralized game that can run autonomously. Okay? Connecting their DAO, tokenomics, and the play-to-earn ecosystem, right? They have that right here. Primary goal of the project is to create a fully decentralized game that can run autonomously. So at some point, you won't need the founders to kind of babysit this thing. The community will be able to do it. The community will be able to make proper decisions because they're token holders, and they want it to continue to grow and grow and grow. Super cool. Got another little demo for you here. So what problem are they trying to solve? In their documentation said, look, we're not trying to tackle Axie Infinity. Rather, we're trying to tackle mainstream gaming. Now, that is aggressive, and I like it. So I played this clip for my son. And I said, okay, you can tell me one word when you're looking at this thing. Tell me one word that comes to your mind. And he said Pokemon, but cooler. So that has to be a seal of approval right there, right off the bat, okay? If No Autopilot son said it's cool, then it must be cool. So think Pokemon meets blockchain. Now the next stop in this thing, we take a look at the founders. And if you guys kind of know my, diamond approach here, top of it is having a founding team that has some experience, has some history. So we have the Warwick brothers, who are all kind of co-founders of this project. Kieran Warwick, which is kind of the first one listed on that page there, he does have a startup and marketing background, okay? Last stint was in the Burger Collective, where he went ahead and he overseen the app from that Burger Collective group and went ahead and had a whole bunch of growth come from it. And prior to that, he had a couple stints when it comes to marketing. Now, they did go ahead and lure over Danny W. Danny W. is an executive managing director, and he's currently the CFO for Illuvium. And he actually has a huge entrepreneurial track record behind him, raising money, working with established brands, creating brand new initiatives in them, and making sure that they're successful. And then this is the first time I've seen this. This cat was actually listed in CEO magazine. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen another crypto GameFi project have one of their leadership team mentioned in CEO magazine. That has to be worth something. Now, the next stop in that kind of diamond, if you will, is the social media presence. Okay. What does their community look like? Are there folks out there who love this thing, who are out there championing it? So the first stop we take a look at is their Reddit page, 4,500 members. They do have a couple posts coming up here regularly. We go ahead, we swing over to Twitter, 274,000 followers, and they do go ahead and post very regularly. We go ahead and pull up DApp Radar, which is a tool that goes ahead and it kind of slices and dices NFT projects, DeFi projects, GameFi projects. And one thing that's interesting is we can kind of see some of the metrics here. And if you go ahead and you look at those exploits I alluded to earlier in the video, it had a bit of a drop off. It had a bit of a drop off after that was announced. And we'll get into the nitty gritty detail behind all that here soon. They also have a Medium page. I love me some Medium pages. Look at all these tabs. You know I have to love Medium pages. And they do go ahead and they update that regularly as well. And they round it out with a YouTube channel with 39,000 subscribers, which is only about 10 times mine. So take that for you. And then last piece here, they are listed on Play to Earn currently as the 186th Play to Earn game on the website, which is really interesting because their game isn't even launched yet. Like, how are you ranked that high? We covered Cryo War yesterday, and they were like 450th, but somehow Illuvium 186. Now, I know you guys are probably like me, right? You're in this for the money, right? The games are fun, but we got bills to pay. So we like to play the game of what if. All right, if you bought an Illuvium token right now with the full tokens in circulation compared to Axie Infinity, you'd be looking at about a 10x on your investment. So that $700 would be worth about $7,000. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Now we look at pieces that can go ahead and help this thing grow. There's a ton. One, they're relaunching their yield farm contract. We'll dive into that here in a second. They have a private beta going on right now that's going to be leading to a public beta slated for Q1 2022. So that's January, February, March. They also have another game called Illuvium Zero, which is more like a land-based game. Supposed to be coming out here pretty soon as well. And then go ahead and establishing kind of their mobile release and second major Illuvium title slated for 2023. Now, one thing that's interesting, so when they're talking about those games, they actually also mentioned eventually releasing Illuvium on consoles. And I don't know how that would work. Like, I don't think Nintendo or the PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store would be down for a crypto game. But I like the tenacity. Now we go ahead, we look at some of their partners. There's a couple names in here. They're going to sound familiar. Yield Guild Games is one of the venture capital funds that backed them. Delphi Digital is another major player in the space. And then I think just kind of rounding it all out, how about the founder of Sandbox? Sebastian, go ahead and throw in a little bit of cash your way to get this thing off the ground. That's pretty cool. And I think that's kind of a nice little sign that I don't think we have to worry about kind of the scam aspect of this particular project. Now when we go and we talk about the tokens, there's only one token really in the Illuvium verse. And it's ILV, Illuvium. Now you can go ahead and you can stake Illuvium through some of their pools, and in return you get synthetic ILV. But there's two different uses for them. Okay, first, so ILV, Illuvium, you use it for governance, liquidity mining, where 100% of the profits are paid out to those liquidity miners who go ahead and support the protocol, and then vault distributions. And then synthetic ILV, that's what you actually use in the game itself, okay? That's used for travel, shard curing, which is like your little Pokeballs in essence when you're trying to catch people, cosmetics, enchantments, all that stuff. And those two assets are pegged to each other, 1-to-1. So whatever the price is for Illuvium, that's what the price is for synthetic Illuvium. Okay? Confused yet? Now they do have kind of an interesting burn mechanism in place. So we mentioned synthetic ILV. So what happens here is if you have ILV tokens and you go ahead and you put them into a liquidity pool or you stake them, you choose how long that is, right? 12 months, 3 months, whatever. And you get a reward back that is tied to how long you're locking it up for. So if you lock it up for longer, you get more rewards. Lock it up for shorter, you get less rewards. One thing that's interesting is, so when you go ahead and you go to claim your rewards, you can claim them in ILV, but you have to wait that period to get them fully unlocked. Okay, so that 3-month or whatever. If you go ahead and you claim them for SILV, synthetic ILV, that means you're actually going to use it in the game. Okay, you're going to use those SILV tokens to go ahead and buy some shards or some enchantments, maybe purchase some land. And when that happens, this is important, although confusing. When that happens, those ILV tokens that you went ahead and you staked originally are never going to re-enter circulation. So in essence, that creates an upward pressure on the price because the available circulating supply of the ILV token is decreasing. Got me? Now, they did have an initial DEX offering where if you went ahead and participated in this thing, you could have got a token for about $88 for one token. Not too bad. Not too bad. Now we go ahead and we look at the circulating supply. So right now there's only 642 million tokens in circulation. And that's out of a potential 10 million. But due to kind of what I was sharing about that staking and quasi burn thing happening, I doubt that we'll ever actually see a full max supply of 10 million out there. Now, next thing we want to look at is the vesting schedule. Okay, so if you didn't know what a vesting schedule is, when you go ahead and you back these projects early stage, they say, look, we're going to give you 1,000 tokens for your $1,000, but you can't sell them for 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And these are really important because these can have major impacts on the price. So they do have a linear unlock vesting schedule that starts in March 2022, next month. So for all those seed purchases, they'll go ahead and they'll get 1/12 of it in March, 1/12 of it in April, 1/12 of it in May, ongoing until March 2023. And that'll be a total of 3 million tokens hitting the market. Now that will have a downward pressure on the price because as more tokens are in the marketplace, there's a greater supply than there is demand, price goes down. The founding team behind Illuvium did something really cool though. They went up and they said, look, we're so confident in Illuvium, we're going to go ahead, we're going to lock our tokens for an additional 2 years. And they went in and they did that. Unprompted, in essence. That's pretty cool. And then we kind of touched again on that burn mechanism. So that could have a really significant impact on the price because the available ILV tokens out there in circulation are always going to be decreasing because people have to swap it for SILV in order to buy upgrades and really advance in the game. So as the game gets more popular, this burn mechanism is going to become stronger and stronger. Now we go ahead and we pull up into the block. And what end of the block does is it gives us some information behind the token, behind the asset, see if the network's actually being used, how many people are in the money, out of the money, that type of thing. Right now, it's saying it's mostly neutral. So it's not really feeling one way or the other about Illuvium. We go ahead and we look at daily active addresses. You can kind of see some of the trends that are happening here. So it definitely seems like there's a slowdown so far this year, right around that time when that exploit, those 2 exploits had occurred. And the next thing I like to look at too is transactions. So how many transactions are actually happening on the blockchain? With Illuvium, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt because this thing isn't even open yet. So how are you going to have a bunch of transactions on it if it isn't even up for public access? Now they do have a DAO set up. So in essence, a voting council, or if you have the token, you had great referendums. You can vote on those referendums. When they had that exploit happen earlier with the liquidity pool, they actually went ahead and kind of convened their core team to make a quick decision to go ahead and try and address that. So there are some layers that they can go ahead and they can take advantage of and institute at kind of the founder level if particular issues show up. Now, where can you go ahead and buy this thing? So it's listed on pretty much every exchange. All right. So this isn't going to be one where you're like, hey, we're waiting for that Binance listing. I think the only one on here I didn't see was Coinbase. So you got a potential Coinbase listing at some point. Now looking at news, so we already touched on this. Illuvium management team announces that additional 2-year lock on their tokens. So let's go ahead, let's dive into the nitty gritty behind this exploit. They had 2, okay? So the first one was Discord. one of their admins in their Discord clicked a link or something like that. He was phished out of his login credentials. Someone got access, and a hacker was like, hey, look, we have a special sneak NFT drop. Go ahead and pile into this website, start transferring some money. And then when people went to go ahead and connect their wallets, all their money was stolen. Okay, all their money was stolen. So that's super sucky, right? You don't want that to happen to your community. People get pissed when $150,000 in crypto gets stolen. But I thought it was super cool. The Illuvium team actually went through and they reimbursed all those folks. Okay, I think it's unfair to kind of judge these protocols to be perfect in kind of the cutting edge that is blockchain gaming. It's more about how do they react when something does go wrong. And I thought that they handled that pretty well. Now, the second incident was in regards to the liquidity pool. Okay, when we talked about kind of staking your IOV tokens for SILV tokens, another hacker, in essence, was able to go ahead and mint himself as much SILV tokens as he wanted. And then he went to the market and he began to sell it. So the founding team went ahead and they got together and they decided to go ahead and drain the liquidity pool. They bought it all themselves. So the hacker couldn't, in essence, sell out of his position. And then they went and they took snapshots of when all this occurred. And again, they went through and they refunded all those liquidity providers. I mean, I know it's bad news, right? You prefer that this not happen. But what else do you want them to do other than to go ahead and compensate you for your losses and kind of dust themselves off and continue to make a great game? So, that's kind of what happened there. Other news that's worthwhile noting. So they have an Auto Battler private beta, which is actually open right now. I just submitted my information to try and get into it. Maybe my little YouTube credentials, might be able to get me into it. If I do, and it's cool with them, I'll definitely try and do some streaming on it on the website or on the channel. I think that'd be sweet. Additionally, with that news, they did go ahead and have a quant stamp audit of their contract. I believe this was back in June. And I think, not to be a jerk, but I always say on the channel when people are like, oh, no, see, this scammy project is legit. They got a CertiK audit. It doesn't matter, okay? These things don't really matter that much. They had this audit done. They probably paid, let's call it $10,000, $5,000 to have it happen. And they were still exploited, okay? A lot of these things are just like ran automatically. It isn't like a person checking the code. It's like put through an algorithm and it pumps out a report. So a bit of a segue, but in essence, they had that report knocked out. And they also went ahead and they formed a relationship with Immutable X. So, hey, if you traded anything on Ethereum lately, you know that gas fees suck. Gas fees are terrible. Gas fees make your soul want to disappear. And so what Immutable X does, it's a layer 2 scaling solution that minimizes those pain in the ass Ethereum gas fees. You got to dig that. Got to dig it. And we look at the roadmap. Man, there's a lot. Okay, you got the land sale that's upcoming. You got the mobile game, staking version 2, kind of an updated, corrected, fixed one. Open beta, right? Coming right off the tail of the private beta. The Overworld mining edition, as well as the Illuvidex, which will be like their own NFT exchange for Illuvium. They got a lot. They got a lot on the roadmap. In addition to some of that, you talk about additional sets of alluvials, right? The creatures that inhabit this world and how they're going to periodically drop new ones, rare ones, common ones, all those things. Adding new regions. We talked about the additional games, mini games, and collaborations. So I'd say, look, I'm not going to tell you one way or another to buy this thing. That's not my role. But I'll give you two scenarios. Okay, one, bullish scenario. They make a great freaking game. Okay, the graphics are stunning. Let's play this video again. Graphics are stunning, right? It draws players in with that free-to-play, play-to-earn. The token itself is worth quite a bit. So if you have an opportunity to go ahead and earn some of that, that could definitely add up. The tokenomics that they put into this thing and the thought behind all of it really kind of creates that decentralized, everlasting game. Players make money, devs make money, they go on to make new games, everybody's happy. That's kind of the bullish scenario. Let's flip it. Let's talk about bearish, all right? Everything isn't roses, right? So the typical lifespan of a mobile game, and I'm going to put this in the in the category of a mobile game, just because I don't have a better category for it right now, is about 3 months. Okay, so after a game launches, people play it for about 3 months, and then it's dead to them. They're bored. It's redundant. So they go through all this work, all this effort, all this fine crafting, all this money, time, energy put into making this thing, either due to the exploits or the game being similar to maybe some other in the space, it never really takes off. And since it doesn't really take off, NFT marketplace, there isn't a lot of ebb and flow in it, right? You go to list something and it stays there forever because no one's there to buy it. Maybe there's another issue down the road where there's another hack, or maybe something else that we didn't foresee that's going to go ahead and affect the protocol. And with all that happening, money dwindling, they can't continue to support the protocol. They can't continue to develop it. And it goes ahead and it turns into a ghost project, just aimlessly drifting in the crypto sphere. So for me, what I personally think, if you want my 2 cents, I like it. I like it a lot. The first thing that stood out to me was the graphics on this thing is amazing. You can tell that they spent a lot of time and energy on it, especially on some of the animations and like the actual creatures themselves. The partnerships that they have with Immutable X, that's also a really big step. That's not an easy thing to set up. Trailer was cool. My son vouched for it, so it has to be worth something there. But I think most of all was how they responded to these issues, right? I mean, it's not easy to go ahead and write a check for $150,000 due to an exploit. But they went ahead and they did it. And the other exploit, I don't recall exactly what the amount was, but here it is, 335 ETH. Okay, so do the math on that. I mean, again, I was just really impressed by how they handled it. So I'm building a GameFi portfolio. It has about 20 to 25 different projects. Is Illuvium going to be in it? Yes. I'm adding Illuvium. And I'm going to try and get into that beta and hopefully give you guys a sneak peek behind the scenes on what seems like a really awesome game. So let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Anything you would add? Also, let me know what game I'm reviewing next. Hit me up in the comment section down below when I put this video out, and we'll make sure we get those added to the community list. But there you have it. Illuvium. I like it. I like it a lot. Boom.